Hey, this is Kay from doing 7 Questions Sunday, and this week we will be talking about working with multiple agencies.
How does working with different companies provide me a safety net?
Working with several agencies is a good deal because you can work with several of them, have several of them on backup. For newbies, I would entertain the thought of maybe 2 to 3 companies. Any more than that for newbies, and you're going to be overwhelmed. So, and experienced ones, I've known experienced travelers who had 5 to 7 companies. But for your newbies, try to stick to 2 to 3. But this gives you some power in case your contracts get canceled, then, which unfortunately is happening more often now. But that way you have a better backup system if something does go wrong with your contract.
How does working with different companies provide me more opportunities?
Not every company has the same vendor management systems or MSPs, the service providers. Not every company has the same hospitals. If you're looking for a hospital, then it is advantageous to look at call them and ask what agencies they use. So, but otherwise than that, different agencies will have different resources for getting those jobs. So be careful. I want you to know that there is multiple layers here. There's the hospital, and then you might have a vendor management system or a managed service provider. So you may be with Atlas MedStaff, and then you see an AMN letterhead on some of your paperwork. Well, that's because you are subcontracted. You're on contract. Your contract is with Atlas, but the subcontract is through AMN. You will find this on a lot of Kaiser facilities. But with each company, you have different provider services, and you have different hospitals. So that's another good reason to have multiple companies, is so that you can go more places.
Is it advantageous to fill out all of those profiles?
All you really need to be submitted to a hospital is a skills checklist, an application, and 2 references. Now, the hospital or the vendor may have other things that you have to provide, but those are the only 3 things that are required with every submission. I would have at least 3 profiles ready to go at any time in case your contract gets canceled for some reason, or you're having a family emergency and you have to switch, and you need to be closer to home. Like my dad got sick in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I had to take a contract. I had to leave. I had 2 weeks left in my Arizona assignment, so I left it 2 weeks early. But I ended up having to go with another company to get a hospital close to where my dad was. So that does happen. So yes, you need to fill out at least 2 to 3, a profile with at least 2 to 3 companies.
How does working with multiple agencies increase my negotiating power?
That's the best thing about having 2 to 3 companies working for you, is that you could get into, if 2 companies have the same job, you could get into a bidding war with them. Say, hey, they've come up with, this is their pay package. And if you really want to work for this other company, but their pay package isn't good enough, isn't as much, then you can go back and forth between the 2 companies and see what you can negotiate. Say, hey, Atlas is paying this, but one staff is paying this, and Host is paying something else. So, you can use the different companies to go in between and get the best deal that you can.
Do I need to be worried about a double submission?
You do have to worry about double submissions. Never should a recruiter or an agency put in your profile unless it has been okie dokied by you. If they don't have your okie dokie and they blind submit you, that's a good reason to drop them right there, okay? Because if you're double submitted at a hospital, sometimes they'll just throw you both of them in the trash. You're not even going to be looked at. Make sure whenever you're working with multiple companies that that recruiter knows that you're be upfront and honest with them. Make sure that that recruiter knows you're working with another company, and make sure that they do not blind submit you.
How does having a backup recruiter help me?
Personally, I have about 5 backup recruiters that I would work with. You just never know when one's going to have a job and the other one doesn't. In my case, I'm a traveling house supervisor, so my jobs are few and far between. So I really need to work with different recruiters and have someone in my back pocket that's going to come up to me and say, hey, Kay, I understand that you're in California right now, but this job in Washington just came up. I wanted you to be aware of it. So yes, it is nice to have backup recruiters to help you because, and as I said before, cancellations and as I said before, cancellations are really a thing of now. I mean, I was even canceled after 13 years of traveling. I had my first cancellation a couple of years ago. So, that's just the facts of life. You need to prepare yourself as a traveler for when all of these things do come up.
How do I keep track of everything?
Well, luckily for you, we have a form on the website, and we also have it in the newbies group and underneath the files department. We have a form for your interview, and it actually has a place for you to put which hospital, which agency, and which recruiter, because you can have, I know some places I guess you could have 2 different recruiters on the same company, but this is how you keep track of it all. We have a tool for you, and I'll put the link to that tool in the notes on YouTube. So, we also have an agency form also. So between the 2 forms, the agency form and the hospital form, you've got everything right there in an old-fashioned 3-ring binder. You can also scan it into your computer or your phone if you want to also. So we do have a way to help you keep it all straight, because if you don't have a method to your madness, it will become madness. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Bye.